Graham Hayden, how does it feel to be the new owners of Hednesford Town?
Right, I'll let you start.
Oh God, fantastic! Very happy. We've worked very hard and diligently to get to this point. Over the moon that we've managed to get it over the line. We're excited for the good things to come for us, for all of us. We really feel like we can make a difference at the club. We can bring both our expertise together, blend them together, and I can't thank everyone enough for their support, really.
What about you, Aidan?
Yeah, just to echo really what Graham said there. I mean, it's been an interesting few months. We've learned a lot during that time as well, just from watching the team and spending time around the club, which has been great. I think the potential is quite clear at the club. Everyone we spoke to in and around the club, as well as people external as well, can see the potential that's there at the football club. And for us, we're just really excited. I mean, the people have been great as well, that welcomed us into the club, supporters and people who already work there and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's just a really exciting time ahead, really.
Is there a sense of frustration not being able to go full steam ahead because of the current crisis?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something we've both spoken about in the build-up to this. Really, is we've got to put plans in place. With the current crisis, it's very difficult to do so because we're having to do, as opposed to what we normally do. The way me and Graham both work in business. Would be something we'd apply. Normally we have a set plan and we work to that plan, and occasionally the plan may change. With this, we've got sort of 5 or 6 different plans depending on which way the government decides to go. What has been nice is we've actually, in some ways, it's been a different situation because we've also had time then to sort of sit and look at other elements of the football club, both commercial and playing, that we probably wouldn't have had a chance to have looked at so early. I think that's been a benefit of it, if you will. But yeah, generally, the biggest thing is we want to be watching the club, succeed and playing football.
Before I ask you about your plans for the club, how did the two of you come interested in buying Hednesford?
That one's definitely a great question for you, Graham.
Well, me and Aid's we've known each other a very long time. We met playing football. For quite a long time, we've been talking about doing something in business together, but we've been struggling to find what we could do that blends both our backgrounds, because we have very different business backgrounds to what we both do. What better way than bringing our love of football, where we met, into the current climate? And we're both local. There's various aspects to it as well, don't get me wrong. There's with my background, I look at development, and I looked at the stadium and thought there's a lot of space here which we can maximise to benefit the club. And there's dual uses. I can bring my offices across to those premises. I can bring his offices to those premises. It's a dual benefit for both the club and for our current businesses, in terms of locality and security. And we just feel like we can create something really special. It all started probably back in December. It was actually about a year ago. I looked at the club itself and I just couldn't get my foot in the door at the time, for one reason or the other. And I tried again in December and put an initial inquiry into Terry, because I'd been past Terry's number and email directly. I was over in Russia at the time through very bad circumstances, to be honest. My father-in-law had passed away, and he was a true gent. He loved his football. He's Russian, hence we have a Russian flag flying at the club now, in a bit of a tip of the hat to the man. And he, every time he flew over to come see the family over in England, first thing he wanted to do is go and watch football. So we went to various grounds. He ended up as a Liverpool fan for his sins, thankfully. But it just felt like a sign to us that it's the right time, it's the right thing, it's the right opportunity. and we truly believed we can bring something unique and special into the club that most clubs do not have. We know our football, we love our football, better than I, to be honest. That's why we work so well together, and this is a perfect venture for both of us to step into, purely because I feel that we complement each other perfectly. We feel like the fan base is there. We're aware of what we was taking on and where the current situation was. We worked very, very hard, long hours, virtually every day since January, trying to get this deal over the line. So we was analysing every aspect of the club, from who the players are, what they're all about, everything about the players, the managerial side, the back of house side, all the staff who's involved in that, literally down to how many paper clips are we using. We've looked at every aspect in finite detail on how can we improve the club now and how can we improve the club long term. And that's the journey that we've said we're going to do. We set out to do it, and that's exactly what we're going to deliver. We can only put all the pieces of the jigsaw in place, and then down to what's happening on the pitch, that's out of our hands. That's down to the camaraderie, the loyalty, the support, and the efforts that the guys on the pitch deliver, and that's where we're at, really. So that really brings us into Andy Morrell, and we felt as a first appointment we wanted a solid, stable, credible manager. We looked at a lot of quality candidates, to be honest. I know I'd spent many an hour ratifying every single candidate alongside me, and it was a real tough decision. But Andy was the one who stood out to us at the end, because he's got a good win ratio, he's good with people, he's good with players, he's played at that level, and we just felt it was a good, credible starting point for us to move forward and then build the team around. I know Aidan, Andy and myself are all talking, and Terry, all on a very regular basis, talking about the team, the players, how we're going to move into next season. But as I said, until we know, it's the best made plans of mice and men, really, and we will move forward accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the appointment of Andy, just to add to that, really, I must have researched probably 50 managers that had applied for this role. And to be honest, they were such a broad spectrum of manager. It gave me something to really get my teeth into, which was great. But in terms of Andy, I don't just check the stats. I'm very much an all-encompassing person when I'm looking at a role like this. I'll even do things like the message boards and things like that, because it's important to look back at how he was perceived by supporters at previous clubs, as well as his record on the pitch. Because whilst a stats record might tell you somebody's results, it won't tell you the style of play they were affecting and what they were doing, and whether the supporters were enjoying watching his football. Now, to give you a prime example with regards to Andy, a poll was recently run by some of the Wrexham supporters, and obviously everyone knows he was at Wrexham for quite a long time, regarding their most successful manager or their favourite manager of their conference years, which I believe is quite some time. On near enough every single person, Andy was in the top two. The man's won the trophy. He was 90 minutes from Wembley. He was 90 minutes from the Football League at Wembley. The fact is, he's got what we want, which is a winning attitude and a winning mentality. And that's really important, because the fact is, we can do all the work we want to do, and me and Graham can put commercial things together, and we can get the ground better and all this kind of stuff. But the fact is, people want to see results on the pitch. It's a football club first and foremost, and it's about what happens on the pitch. And I think Andy, he really did impress us. I'm not going to pretend he didn't. From the minute we met him, in very similar circumstances to how we met yourself, unfortunately, because the situation. We've become quite proficient in video conferencing. And he impressed us, and he was a really engaging character. So I think the fans will enjoy supporting teams put out there by Andy, and I think the players will definitely enjoy playing for him.
So what was it like when you first met Steve Price, and what sort of advice did he give you?
Oh, he's given me lots of advice. The guy's been great, Steve. I've read lots of things on forums and stuff beforehand because, same as Aid, we do our homework. I was pleasantly surprised how helpful that he's been. Obviously, I can't talk much about the legal process that we've been through. That's confidential and private. However, the one thing that did come through was the fact he wanted the club to survive and for it to be a success. And he felt that me and Aid had that desire, that love of football, and we could come in and we can offer a different approach to the club, and he could bring it as a new generation coming forward. And he's been very supportive of both me and Aid for moving forward.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Steve's his attitude towards the whole thing has been really good. And as Graham says, and I just want to reiterate the fact, I understand people will criticise. People at some point will criticise myself and Graham. Hopefully Graham more than me. But no, they will. And the fact is, I do understand people get frustrated and things like that. What I'm going to say is this. Without Steve Price, there wouldn't have been a Hednesford Town for us to get involved with. So whilst I understand and I appreciate everybody's entitled to their opinions, I've read everyone's opinions, and as I say, it's everyone's prerogative. But the fact is, without Steve, there wouldn't have been a club, and Steve could have very easily sold it and gone, not interested in the football side of it at all. And it was made very clear from the start, he was really keen on making sure that the football club survived first and foremost. So I do think that's an important point to get across to people.
So how did Terry help you during this process?
Oh, blimey. Terry has been...
No, I'm joking.
Terry has been incredible. Basically, following the first meeting with Steve, I was introduced to Terry, and I sat there and pretty much asked every question about the club and how it's run and who does what. And Terry's had to get involved in everything. Terry's a backbone of town. We recognise his knowledge of football and what he does behind the scenes that people may not see or know about or appreciate. But Terry is Hednesford Town through and through. And that's why when myself and Aid was coming in, we've spoke many a time in forums stating we want to blend the old with the new. And that's a typical example of the appointment there to Terry being the director of football, because we wish to blend what's good about the club and keep those aspects. Why change something that's not broken? Terry's fantastic for the club. He's through and through. I can't thank him enough for everything he's done, truly.
Yeah, I mean, I made the joke at the start of that question. Terry made the tea. But the fact is, Terry does make the tea. Terry does every single job in that club at various times. There is absolutely nothing that I think we've asked a question on that he hasn't turned around and gone, yeah, okay, and he's got an answer for. Or there's no, when we were discussing with Steve, who does what, Terry's name came up pretty much every time. He was involved in every process in some form or another. So I do want to say that. And again, as much as I made the comment, without Steve, there'd be no Hednesford Town. I personally believe as well, without Terry, there'd have been no Hednesford Town, because Terry's work rate and his commitment to this football club, it's just, it's stunning. It's outstanding. And it's, again, it was a fantastic selling point to us, if you will, because from the moment we met Terry, we were impressed with him. And yeah, a really good guy, and he loves the football club, which is the two main aspects. And he also happens to be really good at his job, which helps.
So when you first told your family and friends that you're going to do this, what were their initial reaction?
Don't do it. No, that was, from my point of view, me and Graham spoke first, then we went off and spoke to both of our families, and the wider friendship groups and things like that. But the immediate thing from our families they were really supportive. They know that me and Graham had looked at running some kind of a business together several times over the last few years. We've looked at different opportunities, and it either didn't feel right or it didn't feel like something we'd really enjoy doing. And the fact is, we've both got successful businesses. So we made the decision that whatever we did together had to be something that we really wanted to do. We were really going to get passionate about. The families were both really supportive. There was when I first told my wife, for example, her first question was, "Are you sure you want to buy a football club?" Because the negativity that goes with sometimes owning a football club and the headaches that can come with it. There's no two ways about that, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say there isn't headaches, because there is, and there will be in the future. But overall, they were really supportive. And I mean, speaking on behalf of my wife, my family, my parents, and all that sort of stuff, everybody was really pleased about the fact I was doing it with Graham, because Graham is really good at what he does. He's a smart guy, he's an intelligent guy, and he's also somebody who I genuinely do trust 100%, and we worked so, as he said earlier, we worked so well together that it was something that everyone was really passionate about and everyone's getting involved with, and they're all looking forward to coming down and watching a game at some point. Unfortunately, we just can't say when. So yeah,
I can only reiterate what Aid said. Exactly the same things, exactly the same reasons. As I say, my in-law side of the family was going through a very tough time at the point we started this journey. The wife and the mother-in-law especially, our place was full. But they know we always make good decisions for the right reasons, and this just felt like the right choice. I'm lucky, my other business, I've got a team behind me that are incredible. They're very supportive. I talked through the options and what I was looking at doing and the reasons why, and they was 100% behind the idea and what we can bring to the party as a team, and linking up with Aid and all his team as well. It just made a lot of sense. We have, as we said earlier, two very different businesses. I do a lot of design work for various developments, etc. That's our bread and butter. That's how our company became successful. We have a lot of guys who all do exactly that. Aid's side, he's got a background in recruitment and security, and blending those two is just, it's unheard of normally, because the two just completely different walks of life. The staff that we deal with are just different characters, and having the ability to put two completely different sets of people all together where they're complementing each other is fantastic. And that will show in everything that we're doing at the club, because if it wasn't for the fact me and Aid had met playing football, we wouldn't know each other. We wouldn't bounce in the same circle, sort of thing, because I'm normally asleep when he's up working and vice versa. It's just one of those. We're quite lucky in that respect. It was literally from the first day that we did it, we just hit it, like when we met, we hit it off, and we even share the same birthday. So, yeah, that always helps when we're arranging a drink.
So can you remember the emotion the two of you felt when you made your offer to Stevie and he accepted it?
For me, it was very much, it wasn't the emotion of that point. The emotion was last Friday. The emotion for me was when we got the deal over the line. Making offers in business, you can make offers all day long. It's about getting the deal done. That's the bit that I enjoy. All the work that goes into it is hard craft. I think last Friday when me and Grove spoke. It was about 2 in the afternoon, something like that, when we got everything finalised, we got all the agreements and all that kind of stuff that we needed in place. That was the moment where we kind of just sat back and went, okay. And it felt amazing. But as I say, that was the point for me rather than anything previous to that.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. It's I think at the point when Steve had said, yeah, I'm happy, we shook hands and we had a deal, I was happy, and I was also stressed because I realised how much work I've got in front of me to get the deal over the line, because, as I said, it's not as simple as, well, we've done the deal, we signed the piece of paper. We had so many hoops to jump through, not just from a legal aspect and not just looking at every aspect of the club and making sure that we're running it right and all the staff. It's down to the league, it's down to the FA, and we had all their hoops to jump through. And there's always stuff that crops up at the last minute, and you're thinking, is this getting over the line? What else have I got to, what other hurdles do I have to jump? So at one stage on the Friday, we were thinking, we don't know whether this will complete. And then within 20 minutes later, I got a call from the FA saying, done. And everything fell over the line just at the last minute. So literally, the second we put it on the forums was literally within minutes of us finding out ourselves. We're very open, we're very honest, we wear our hearts on our sleeve, and we say it as it is. Now, that may be to our detriment sometimes in the future, but we hope as a whole, the fans and the club will appreciate the fact that we say it as it is and we're straight down the line.
First signing you made for the club was Terry as Director of Football. Can you clarify his role as Director of Football, as the role has been seen by many in the professional game as controversial?
Yeah, that's easy. Basically, as we said earlier, Terry is a backbone of this club. He gets involved in many facets of it, from dealing with the academy, looking after academy transfers, dealing with player transfers, all the paperwork behind the transfers to the league and to the FA as needed. And he also gives a lot of good advice. He knows a lot of people at other clubs. So he liaises with them to talk about the transfer when we're playing at away games or even at home games, for visiting directors and things like that. He advises and gives his opinion into the style of football. He gives his opinion about the players and their commitment and where their weaknesses and where their strengths are. We look at all aspects. Terry is involved in everything of all those aspects. He's more than a club secretary. That was the natural progression for us to show that we can see behind the scenes, and we wanted to reward Terry in that aspect and respect. So his title is reflective of the work he is truly doing. I'm the chair, for example, but it doesn't mean I necessarily do one thing or the other. I will flick between every single aspect. We've geared our backroom staff up very carefully. There's myself and Aid. We overlap on every aspect. I will lean to Aid more so in terms of the football. Aid played at these sorts of levels where he knows what's expected of the players. He knows how players will be treated and spoken to, and what sort of motivational areas we can give. So from Aid's side, he's looking after the security point of view, the methodology of how we're going to deliver. So let's say, for example, coronavirus. Aid's looking into how can we deliver football but still be compliant to social distancing in our stadium. I've got one of my designers working alongside him. So we can look at that and say to the FA, this is how we can deliver football for our fans. So myself and Abe will overlap with everything. I tend to deal a little bit more so on the contractual side. So I'll deal with the players' contracts, but I'll deal with all the contracts behind the scenes of the running of a football club, from your phone lines to your bins, basically. So I'll deal with all those aspects as well. And then we come together and we talk about everything on probably 2 or 3 times a day, regular, because we have to. We are in tune with each other. But this way, if somebody's off sick, the other person can step in and it's business as normal. That's the idea. We brought Terry along to do exactly as I said earlier, and we're bringing in a commercial director. He'll be looking after all aspects of advertising space, all those aspects, and he'll also be overseeing events. We're looking at putting events on. Again, coronavirus has hit, and that sort of slowed that process down. Otherwise, we'd have been looking to have some big shows and concerts on within a month or two. Having said that, we've just got to wait and see what happens now. But we are looking at having more. We have events managers lined up as well, where we can offer large scale gigs, music, comedy, you name it really, trade shows. We have a big ground. We have an incredible stadium. We have a good location. We can deliver a lot more by making this a community hub. We want to do it by engaging everyone, and we all go on the journey together with one club, one badge, and that's important for us. So we've geared our backroom staff in particular to grow together.
Yeah, I mean, just to add a little thing on that with regards to Terry's role, people assume, particularly with the director of football role, I'll go back to your question earlier in that sense of some people, particularly at football league level, it's a controversial role because they see a director of football as just responsible about what happens for 90 minutes on a Saturday afternoon. The reality is, football now, even at our level, encompasses much more than just what we see on those 90 minutes. The whole match day, there's a lot of work that has to go into it. On the playing side as well, there's also a lot more work involved with the training. Again, player knowledge, Graham alluded to. Terry's player knowledge is second to none in terms of not just their ability on the pitch, but where he knows their personalities, what motivates them, what drives them. Good and bad things about players all over, particularly over the Midlands, but even further. And I think from Andy's point of view, as a manager, he can tap into that. He may well know a player or see a player who he thinks that's a very good footballer and that fits the role I want. But does his character fit who Andy wants in his team? There's a fair chance that if Terry doesn't know, he'll know somebody who does. And that's what's important with the director of football, is that he can support all aspects of the football side of things.
We know the pitch is going to remain as a grass pitch. So will there be a chance to have proper drainage in the future?
Yes, it's something that we are looking at. We was hoping to pull that off this season, but it's not come about because of coronavirus and various other aspects. I'm working on some very exciting deals and opportunities for the club as a whole, which will generate a lot of options for us as a club for the benefit of the club. I can't say what they are at this stage because they have to remain confidential, but if we manage to come to the right solution and agree with the parties involved, there's some exciting times ahead for Hednesford. Talks are, I will say, very far progressed, and it just went on hold because of coronavirus. Over a period of time, we don't know when, we are looking at the floodlights being upgraded. We know from a HDTV point of view that the floodlights need a considerable investment to upgrade their lux rating. We're looking at the drainage under the pitch. There's hundreds of thousands of pounds that needs to be spent to get the drainage under the pitch to an acceptable level. that certainly can't happen overnight. We've spoken before in forums about sustainability of the club. What we don't want to do is come in and just invest a serious amount of money into one place and then all other aspects suffer. Everything needs to grow at a stable, sustainable rate together, from the players, from the pitch, from the ground. If it all comes together, we will grow as a club and climb the ladder as we all want to do. Now, as quickly as we can do that, well, from our side, we'd like it to be tomorrow, but that's not life, that's not football, that's not reality. On the same hand, it doesn't mean we can't shoot for the stars. So we're excited about our projects moving forward.
So regarding Andy's playing budget, has that been affected by the current situation?
No.
No, not at all. Well, the budget was set. We obviously, part of what we did when we took an in-depth look at the football club was discussed what budget we thought was appropriate and would be sustainable. Because again, and we've said this quite openly, and I will say this now, we won't ever disclose how much the budget is. The reason we won't do that is quite simple. It's been used as a stick to beat this club with in past seasons. It's been used there, and again, a lot of it's speculation, of course, but the thing about budgets being cut because they were at Hednesford Town were at the FA Cup or at the FA Trophy. What happens there is quite simple. Well, the clubs just watch, and the minute you go out, even if that isn't true, they will then go, right, I'm going to try and get these players and convince them that the budget is going to be cut. Now, maybe the fact that the previous budget hadn't been cut, it may well have been. We don't know that, to be honest, because we've deliberately not asked that question, because the previous budget is nothing to do with us. That was Steve's business at the time, and that was up to Steve how that budget was run. What we can say is our budget is based on how we feel the football club what the football club needs, and a sustainable way of running that budget going forward, rather than just going with the attitude of let's throw a load of money at it for one season. If it don't work, oh well, we'll walk away, and the club will go into the doldrums to go and play Midland League football at best. I don't want that. And Graham doesn't. It's very much a case of making sure the budget is appropriate for the level we're attempting to achieve. And as a result of that, because we did all this work on it previously, we made sure that it wasn't reliant on just one area, i.e. ticket sales, i.e. sponsorship, or events, or a million other things that are where we draw the money from for the football club. So because of the coronavirus, to be honest, it hasn't affected the budget at all. Whether that's the same case at all football clubs, I can't comment. That's their business. But all I can say is at Hednesford Town, our budget will never, ever collapse because of one issue, regardless of how big that issue is.
So can you explain the concept of the mini Wembley for the ground, and what will that hopefully entail?
That's definitely you, Graham.
Basically, as alluded to earlier, we're looking at moving our offices across there now. Hednesford Town is a football club first and foremost. We all go because it's a football club. We have no intention of, the best thing for me to do is answer the first question, which I've been asked many times so far. Are you looking at building houses there? The answer is no. No, we are not looking at building houses there. We are looking at building a mini Wembley. We're going to take what's there at the moment, utilise the spaces around the ground to construct various aspects, and we're also looking at trying to build offices above the existing stands, glass fronted with viewing balconies. There'll be a TV gantry, there'll be classrooms for our academy. We're looking at building around 60 to 70,000 square foot of office space within the ground, which I've already looked at the designs. That will have glass fronting going onto the pitch and away from the pitch, apart from the side where there's no housing. It will create a mini Wembley effect. We're looking at putting a restaurant there, a gym, a shop. It's all subject to planning. There's a lot of hoops I have to work on first to jump through before I can even get the application in and lodged. So far, the the general consensus and feeling and responses that we've had is this would look fantastic, this sounds great. It takes the club into the future. There's dual benefits of it as well. The first benefit is obviously myself and I can initially move our offices across to there, should we so wish, and which is what we're planning on doing. Coronavirus obviously throws a spanner in the works, because I know people are looking at office space, and do we need so much office space? So we may have to reevaluate what we're putting in there. We just don't know yet. We've got to wait and see. The main point from a football club point of view, which is obviously a key driver for the business, is what does that deliver to us long term? And the answer is simple: rental income. Rental income means more money in the club. The more money that's in the club, ultimately, the better we should do. If we apply what we know we can apply from a footballing point of view and have finance that can sustain a level much higher than what we're at now, there is no reason at all why we can't reinvest that cash and push into very strong promotional points. I believe we're in a position that we can actually push for promotions quite quickly now. But is it sustainable to get to League Two, for example? Probably not. It may be, but it would be touch and go. By virtue of such a development, we could comfortably sit at League Two without even having to break a sweat. We could become a full-time football club. The revenue it generates it speaks for itself. That was part of my due diligence that I was doing. That's my background. So that's what I've done. And then I've sat with Aid and I've said, this is what I think we can generate. What do you think? And we've gone through it with a fine tooth comb, and we're confident of it. And if anything, that can just be the backbone for moving on forward again. We're looking at plans for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and beyond our lifetime as well. We know exactly where we think we can take the club. We just want to deliver it now.
Yeah, one thing I will say on that is that Graham's mentioned there about two things I want to mention really. Number one, the plans. Being quite blunt, as we've alluded to earlier, I don't know anything about drawing in that sense. You know, I'm not a technical person in that way. I've seen the plans, of course. They look absolutely fantastic, to be quite honest, and the excitement it generated with myself was brilliant. I believe some of the Supporters Association, when we met with those, they also saw some of the plans. They were excited by it. And what we will try and do, in fact, we will do it, and is when we do the fans forum, which we've already advertised that we will do, once all this is over and we can all meet again safely, we'll make sure that those plans are available then as well, so that the supporters can see that this isn't just something we're drawing on the back of a fag packet. This is something that's a sustainable thing to give the club future revenue and future growth long after me and Graham have gone, which is one of my biggest priorities. I know it's one of Graham's as well. Is making sure that this football club, it's about leaving a legacy for us. It's about leaving something there for the next generation who are, you know, like I say, when we've left the club or whatever happens with us in the future, it's about making sure there's something there so that the club doesn't then go, okay, as many clubs do, we'll push and push and push, and then myself and Graham leave in 10, 20, 30 years' time for whatever reason. You know, people do move on. And then that football club just sinks because there's no sustainable long-term income. It was just all about the chairman will pay for that or whatever. That's really important to us. He's building that long-term. And as we said, you know, my big thing is I don't want to make promises to anybody, and I won't make promises to anybody, and no, Graham won't either, that we will be a League Two club in X amount of time, or we will be a conference club in X amount of time, because it's football. And with the best will in the world, just because we want to do it doesn't mean it's going to happen in the time frame we want to, because what happens on the pitch, we can't control. Okay? What's really important to us is if we do our bits, we've got to put the faith in people such as Andy, who we've got the faith in that he can push us forward, and the players that will come to the football club in time, and the players that are already here. to make that football club more successful and to get the promotions we want. But I'm not going to sit here and I know Graham isn't and say League Two football in 5 years, because it's unrealistic to put that kind of demands on the club or the players. What we will say is we want to be every level we're at, we want to make sure we're successful, and that's the first and foremost priority. Everything else comes in stages and comes in time.
It's important.
We want the fans to be proud of the badge.
Yeah.
We want the fans to follow us on this journey, to support us, and know no matter where we're at, for the good and the bad, we're in the trenches together.
So is it going to be important that we bring in the next generation of fans going forward? Are there any plans to promote the club to more younger fans?
Yeah, it's vital. As I alluded to, just okay. I've got a big thing. I mean about football, right? And again, Graham knows me better than anybody. I speak as I find. I'm not the kind of person who sugarcoats things. I don't sit there and say, yeah, it might be this, it might be that. Quite bluntly, I'm going to make this statement. Football, without football supporters, is not only less valuable, it's absolutely pointless. Okay? Yes, we're about to go into a situation with coronavirus where we may watch games on the TV rather than in live stadiums, for example. I get it. That's a health issue. But you still support that club. Whether you're there at that game, you're still, a Man United fan will still watch Man United and cheer on Man United on Sky. Because he hasn't got the option to go to Old Trafford, Wolves, Villa, same with Hednesford Town. Okay? Even if a supporter club, we can't get the support to the stadium, we need football clubs football supporters engaged with this football club, because there is no point having any kind of football club if supporters aren't part of it and supporters don't feel part of it. Okay? That includes the next generation of supporters, because if you haven't got young supporters coming through, okay, with the best will in the world, none of us are immortal, okay? And I think the current terrible situation that's going on in the world has reminded us all of that. And as a football club, one of the first things a football club is there for is to be a distraction for people from the difficulties of life, okay? It's to entertain, it's to show passion, and it's to fall in love with, okay? The only way you do that is engaging people at a young age, getting them interested in the club, getting them to understand what the club's about, getting the local kids from Hednesford, as an example, to give a toss about what's happening at Hednesford Town, and not just go, oh well, Hednesford Town's a small club, I want to support Man United. Go and support Man United, but you're not going to go and watch Man United every week. Hednesford Town's on your doorstep, it's affordable for your family. And it's a place where you can learn about football. I learned a lot about football watching non-league football. Playing non-league football, I wasn't particularly good at it, but I played it. And I'm really passionate about young people getting involved with the football club. And I really think that one of the things we need to do, and it's something that I'm working on projects on at the moment for the football club, is engaging young fans more. A supporters club based for the youngsters that are involved, but also to get involved with schools, and to, we've already spoke to a couple of people at different schools. Obviously, again, coronavirus has made it difficult because we can't engage in the stuff we would normally have engaged in, going into schools, speaking to people, meeting the kids, and getting them to actually get passionate about the football club, because we've got a cracking little stadium, we've got a genuine sport, and there's genuinely going to be some really good times, and who wouldn't want to be a part of that?
Well, one of the things that surprised myself was when we started looking at the club. I think the first game I came to, it was a dire game for us, but I was still impressed with the quality of the football. And I don't think we've shouted about the quality of the football at Hednesford enough. We play in a good league that has some talented footballers that are exciting to watch, and people don't know about it. They don't know about the price point either, that tickets are around £10 a ticket, roughly. I know there's 11 this season gone, but call it a tenner for a round number. If I'd known that, I'd have brought my family up, because for the price of a family ticket, I have 4 kids, a wife, and I could have come to the game with all my family for the same price as going to watch one Premier League game with 1 ticket for myself. And I can buy a burger and food for them at the same time for the same price. It's incredible. I live in Chesley now. I'm 5 to 10 minutes drive from the ground, and I did not know that when games was on at Hednesford, that Hednesford even played there effectively. There was no advertising. There's nothing, and we're looking to change that aspect as well. We want everyone, all the fans, tweeting, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. We want everybody to come on this journey with us. So, I mean, our best advice is if every fan that comes to watch the games brings 1 friend, and then the following game they bring 1 friend, we'll fill the place in no time, and the atmosphere will be electric. And what an exciting time for them to come and watch. It's a new start. It's a new chapter in its history, and with the various exciting things that we will be delivering, even down to the shirts. We hopefully within a week we may be releasing the sneak peeks of what's to come with the shirts. But again, we're blending the old with the new, and the designs I've seen so far, I'm just waiting on final ones, but they are incredible. I've had designers look at them, come up with it, and then pass that across to the Macaron, who are our sportswear affiliate, and they've come up with various bits as well. It's exciting times, but if we all hammer the social media, we're going to increase the ground in terms of people coming, and that makes an atmosphere. And as Aid said, without fans, you haven't got a football game. It's not the same. You might as well be down the park. It's about the fans. That's what football is. It's that moment of excitement when someone hits the top bin from 30 yards out, and that's football.
Graham never hit the top bin when he played.
It's difficult from central defence.
Yeah,
So will you possibly be offering any special discounts for NHS Key Workers as a way to say thank you for them for what they've done during this crisis? Is that something you would consider?
Yeah, definitely. It's something we've already spoke about. I don't want to reveal too much at this point, purely because we haven't finalised exactly what we're doing in terms of what I don't want to do. And again, people might call me out and say this, and I don't really care. I don't want to do just what everyone else is doing just for the sake of it. I want to do something to actually say thank you, not just go, yeah, we'll give you a free ticket and whatever else. It's admirable, but we want to do something more. And what that is yet, we haven't finalised yet, which is purely the only reason I can't say what it is, because we've got to cross the I's, dot the T's, as it were. But for us, it's very much getting it right and supporting what people are doing. Because, and again, I'm going to mention this briefly. I run a security company. I've got guys going out at the moment, working on supermarkets, government sites, and a lot of other things, some things that I can and can't say for various legal reasons. But these guys are going out there and ultimately putting their life on the line, taking a risk to keep all of us safe, So again, next time you go to a supermarket and you're fed up because you're waiting in that queue and you think that, you're not happy with the security guy because he's not waving people through quick enough. He's doing it. He's doing his job, and he's doing it. He or she are doing their job for the best way for you. And that's just one element of the key workers. So there's a lot more to look at. Obviously, there's the ones that we've got to acknowledge, things like the NHS, the care workers, the police, the fire service, the army guys. There's millions, but there's also other elements of it that we want to make sure we thank as many people as we can for what they're doing for the country right now.
Yeah, I can't reiterate enough. yes, the NHS are incredible, but we as a club, we're unique. We are very different in terms of chairman compared to probably most clubs. We don't want to just follow suit. It's important that we recognise everybody who's out there who risks their lives, and we can't thank everybody enough. We really can't. We also need to steer from the FA in terms of what rules and regulations are going to be stipulated before we come back, because we have to comply with that first and foremost as well. So once we know a little bit more, we can then finalise plans, and then we can issue out what we will do. But no matter what, we will be looking at doing something for everybody, even down to the loyal fans, those season ticket holders and stuff like that. We want to say thank you to the fans, to everybody who's involved in the club. We're a community. How do you grow as a club? You have to grow as a fan base, because the size of the club is only limited by its fan base ultimately. So that's, as Aid says, down the line we will release proposals, but until the point where we can make that final decision, we've got to hold fire, so to speak, at the moment.
Again, it may be the case that we have to say thank you to each element that we want to say thank you to at different points, because let's use the NHS as one example. We've got to say thank you to the NHS, because what they've done is it's just amazing, to be honest, what those people are doing. I actually had to cause to visit a hospital last week, and the attitude of the people, the nurses, the doctors, it's exemplary. It's to be honest, it's inspiring, because they're working 20 to 22 hour shifts, some of them, and yet they've still got a smile on their face, and it's amazing. Of course, we've got to thank those guys. And what I don't want to do is dilute the thanks to one particular group. Say dilute the thanks to just because we've got everybody together at the same time. It'd be better if we can say, okay, this day and this thing that we're going to do here is for the NHS workers. This day and this thing is for the supermarket workers. This day and this thing is for the security workers, and so on and so on. So it may be a case that we'll have several different things that we do to say thank you, as opposed to one all-encompassing thing. Again, a lot of that will also be guided by the government guidelines. I'd love to throw the ground open to everybody and hold the biggest party Hednesford's ever seen to thank all the key workers and the NHS staff and all that kind of thing. But the fact is, that ain't going to happen anytime soon. And I don't want to wait and wait and wait before we say thank you to what these people are doing.
So when do you honestly believe we'll be back in action, and could the club handle a situation where we're not playing until next year?
In terms of when do we believe, we can't say. My gut tells me possibly start of the season. Pre-season, I think, will be closed doors. I'll be surprised if it's not. Start of the season may be delayed. We just don't know. It's anybody's guess at this stage.
Obviously, we can speculate all we want, can't we, Gray? But the reality is, until the government, it's ultimately the government's decision. Football can pretend it's football's decision. It ain't. It's the government's decision first, because that's how we're guided. Whether you agree with that or not, that's the law. And once the government's made their decision, football can make its decision, then individual leagues, and then down to clubs. So we've got sort of three more elements to go through: the government, then the FA, then the league, before we can make our decisions. That's why we're working on so many different options and plans to do with social distancing and things like that. And I'm sure Graham will talk to you about that. But it's very much, for us, we've just got to wait till we're told. And we know no more than anybody else. I'm exactly the same as everybody. I sit there, I watch the news, I speculate, but the reality is, I'm just guessing.
Yep.
Not even to any of us.
Time will tell. Just rest assured, we are working on many plans that we can pretty much pull one off the shelf and say, this is how we're going to implement the guidelines. and ultimately we want as many fans at the ground as we can. Now, if that involves us implementing a social distancing regime within the ground to its maximum capacity based on that, we'll be able to do that. We are already designing that up as we speak. I have my designers working on it. Aids looked at his security staff and said, can we implement and enforce that as well? So if everyone's at the 2 metre centre, for example, around the ground, what's the maximum capacity could we deliver? We just don't know. The time will tell, but rest assured, one way or the other, if we can play football, there will be an availability to watch us play football, whether it be live at the ground or via streaming methods or other options. We will find a way.
So one of the main criticisms of Steve's reign was that perhaps he wasn't the best communicating with the fans. So will the two of you be communicating with the fans on a more regular basis going forward?
We'll be very, very vocal people. We may not always spot every answer or question. We may not always be able to answer the questions. If we can't, we will say, and we will say why, but we will be very vocal.
I think from my point of view, I said it earlier, I'll say it again. I say what I think, and Graham's the same, and we both wear our hearts on our sleeves. Graham at times probably puts things a little bit better than I do, of a certain bluntness. But what I will say is this: if I can answer a question without breaking any kind of law, without breaking any kind of legal agreement, and without doing anything that will damage the club, I'll answer it. You might not like the answer, okay? But it'll be an honest answer. And that's one thing I'll promise every single Hednesford supporter. And I can say that on behalf of myself and Graham, because it was one of the things we said from the start. We're football supporters. We've been frustrated in the past with the football clubs, that we may have followed when we were younger, etc. A lack of communication, or we don't know the answers to a really important question because the club isn't saying. Fact is, if we can give you the answer, we will. Whether we will get criticised for what that answer is, I can live with that. What I can't live with, and what we won't ever do, I will make this promise to every Hednesford supporter and to everybody, is I won't lie to you. If it's a situation, a bad situation or a good, I will tell you how I feel about it. And I'm pretty sure Graham would make that same promise, because that's the way we are as people.
You'll see us walking around the terraces just as much as you'll see us. Obviously, we have to entertain you visiting directors and things like that. Of course, that's part of the game. It's the FA rules. We have to be compliant towards those things. But on the same hand, as people have probably noticed, those that go to the home and away games, that they've seen myself and Aid walking around the ground, having a chat with the fans. We openly invite people to come talk to us. If they see us knocking around, feel free, come butt in our conversation and ask us questions, talk to us. Whatever. Even if it's complaining about a certain player and say, well, why is he being played? Come and ask us, because I'm sure we'll be asking the same questions down behind the scenes, but on the same hand, there sometimes are good reasons. And I think one thing, talking about the players just quickly, I'd like to say how incredible the team from last season was for us. We obviously came in at a point where the club was feeling quite low, changed the manager. Some of the key players had left the club or was in the process of leaving the club, and we came in, and it was a tough time for them. They didn't know the future. Many people didn't know the future of the club, and we just asked them to play and give us their all. We didn't ask any demands of them. We just wanted to see what would their ability be, given a free reign of the club's here next season. Play for your badge, play for your number. Let's see what you can deliver. And it was amazing to watch against the top clubs in the league at that time. We was unlucky not to win most of the games. Our results didn't go the way, away at Royston, for example. We lost to a wonder free kick, but I felt we were very competitive throughout the whole game. Peterborough Sports 3-3 at home. What a topsy-turvy game, but it showed we can score goals and we can battle with the best in our division easily. And people was questioning at that point, we've lost all our key players. That's the season over and done with. And I think that quickly showed that we had a backbone of a squad we can build upon, because it's not just about how good their feet are, it's how good their brain is, it's how good their character. Yeah. And we want to work alongside the team to build the squad to make it strong in every aspect. And a massive thank you to the team for everything they did and their openness to me and Aid last season, because that was one of the other reasons why we made this decision.
Just on that briefly as well, most people we spoke to agreed with what we were saying when we started to see the performances improve. I also understand one or two supporters still had the attitude of, yeah, but we weren't winning games. And I get that, because I'm big into, it's about winning. And that's my thing. However, here's what I'm going to say. Having played football, having watched football all of my life, it's not a light switch. Form is not something you can just switch on and off. Okay? Hence, would have been on a bad run. The first thing to do when you're on a bad run is to improve performances and improve that character and do exactly what they did and show that there's still fight in that team. Now,
put that self-belief back into them.
Yeah. Had that season continued, I have absolutely no doubt in my mind whatsoever results would have improved. No two ways about it, because the performances were improving. And given what they've been through, and Hednesford Town Football Club had been through at the time with not knowing the future, to be honest, you've kind of got to make certain allowances that I probably wouldn't make in another set of circumstances, where I'd look at it and go, okay, performance matters. All right, results still are first advice, but performance, as long as they've given everything, and that's what they did. Now, going forward, I want to see a winning side, but also, and I've spoke to Gray about this, character, I think first and foremost is one of the prerequisites of any good side. I know Andy's mentioned that to me and Graham several times. He likes his sides to have character about them. And so that team last season showed that it's got character. Those players showed, regardless of who's here and who isn't next season, for me, those players showed that they've got character and bottle to still pull on that shirt and to go out on a bad run and compete with two sides who are, let's be quite blunt, Royston and Peterborough are both really good football sides at this level last season. Both of them would have, I've no doubt, made the playoffs. I personally still believe that Peterborough could have gone on and won the title, maybe. Having watched them play, they're a really good side, and they'll be good sides again next year. The difference is we want to be a team that people are talking about as one of those good sides. That's the key thing for next season.
So finally, what is your message to supporters, and in particular those supporters that have stayed away from the club recently?
Ray, do you want to go first on that?
Yeah, sure. I think our message is quite clear. We're one badge, we're one club. Come on the journey with us. As I said earlier, if every supporter brings one new person to come and watch the games, and they in turn bring one new person, we'll become a huge club again very quickly. We are as limited as we are as the fan base behind us. The potential of this club is enormous. The fans know their football, they enjoy their football, and they're loyal. And I want us to become a brand that people are excited about. They're excited to come and watch the football, their anticipation of we're going to win this from the start is going to be there. I want everyone to love their football. I want everyone to be proud of the badge. I want to be proud of the badge. Aid wants to be proud of the badge. That's what we want to deliver. So I would just keep it short and say, follow us, support us, join us, enjoy it.
From my point of view, it's quite simple. What I want to say to the supporters who have stayed away or have yet to become supporters of the football club, give us a chance. Give us a chance to prove what we're saying is right. Okay? Words can mean a million things. Actions are what matter. And that's what you've got to see from us now. And that also stems through to those supporters who are still with us and were still with us last season. Give us the opportunity to prove what we're saying is right. And the only way we can prove that is by you coming down, watching this football club and getting behind it. Atmosphere is everything at football, as I've already alluded to. I don't believe in football without supporters. Supporters are the first and foremost thing for any football club. So get behind the team, come down, give us a bit of atmosphere. Do you know what I mean? Enjoy it, because that's what it's about. Watching a football club, it's passionate, it's love, but it's also enjoyable. It's a way of taking time out from the stresses of daily life. And right now, we're all going through a very, very tough time, regardless of who you are. Give yourself something to look forward to and make that thing come into a Hednesford Town game. Bring your family, bring your friends, and have a good day out and enjoy it. And get behind the team that's, you know, it's not an unattainable team. We're not, you know, players aren't sort of locked away and kept away from you all. They'll come and engage with you, so engage with them. Support the team, and above all, enjoy it. And lastly, just stay safe, really, at the moment. I know things are crazy at the moment in the world. I know that our fan base encompasses some people who will be vulnerable at the moment. I just want to sort of, and I'm sure Graham, I can speak for us both and say that we really do want you just to stay safe and come back to Keys Park when you're ready and when things are a little bit safer in the world. But yeah, right now it's just it's tough time. And if there's anything we as a football club can do to help you, just let us know.
Thank you guys for doing this.
No problem, it's been a pleasure.